we're going to be talking about dental care, and one of the reasons I want to talk about it is because I think it's one of the most important things you can do to keep your pets healthy. I also think it's one of the easiest things for you to do. So if you have a pet, a dog, or a cat, and they happen to have teeth, this is going to be the video that you need to watch. If you have a pet who's lost his teeth, it's probably because of poor dental care. So this is Riley. He's not mine, but I thought, you know, maybe you guys will get to see, I see so many dogs, and so in these videos that I'm doing, you're going to get to see all of some of my most precious animals that I take care of here at the spa. This is Riley. He's been coming here since he was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny little puppy, him and his sister Roxy, and they just kind of feel like part of my family. So I thought I would use him. Ansel's actually staring at me. He's jealous now, but he doesn't really like his teeth brushed, and most dogs do not like their teeth brushed. So there's a few things we need to talk about first before we get into toothpaste and how to brush your dog's teeth and techniques in holding your dogs. So before I go any further, I want to explain a little bit about why so many animals end up losing their teeth because of dental care. And one of the biggest reasons is the food that they're eating. I'm sure you've probably heard that if your pet doesn't eat kibble, then it won't clean their teeth. But what's really weird about that is that kibble-fed dogs are the most prone to dental problems. And the reason that is because kibble is high carbohydrate, high starch. So in the dogs, in order for them to break down starch, they need to have an enzyme called amylase. Amylase is pronounced a couple of different ways, I've heard it said. It's an enzyme that breaks down the carbohydrates in our body. You and I possess it, dogs possess it, but the difference between canines and humans is when we start to eat, amylase is produced in our mouths, and then that's where we break down the carbohydrates. But dogs don't break down carbohydrates until it hits their stomach. So any carbohydrate that they eat, non-soluble carbohydrates, those are going to be your rices, your potatoes, any starchy, heavy foods, those are going to sit in their mouth, attach to their teeth, and then eventually cause that plaque, tartar buildup. And that's why you end up with all of these dogs who are kibble-fed dogs who have a problem. So number one, first and foremost, let's get rid of the carbohydrates in our dog's diet. That's going to be your first line of defense as far as making sure that your pet's teeth are healthy. Now, why is that important? Why do we care about whether or not our dog's teeth are, important? For some people, they don't really understand the connection between poor hygiene and health, because we could just pull their teeth out. Some vets will do that for you. But the reality is there's a huge connection between the kidneys, the heart, and the liver, and the pancreas, and all of these organs that work overtime when they're trying to draw bacteria out of the mouth. So in some cases, the bacteria can get so bad. And it's very interesting that I'm doing this video today, on the day that I am doing it. I know you won't see it for a couple of days, but on the day that I'm videoing this, I just got off the phone call with a very good client of mine who is on her way to UC Davis because her pet's dental had gotten so bad, and she knew it, but he was in that spot where he's too old to go under anesthesia to have his teeth cleaned, but now his teeth are so bad. Well, she found herself in that position. She didn't want to risk him going under anesthesia to get the teeth clean for fear that he wouldn't wake up, but the teeth were so bad. Well, she had to rush him to the emergency room this morning because his jaw broke. And the reason that his jaw broke is because the bacteria had been eating away at his jaw and causing it to just kind of be loose, and so the slightest little thing caused a jaw fracture. So when I talk to you about dental care, this isn't just a video on here's how you brush your dog's teeth. I'm not making fun of those videos, but I'm encouraging you to please understand that the preventative stuff that you do with your animals is very important, and not just so they have nice smelling breath. It's important for their future, really. A lot of people don't realize this, but wolves actually don't live longer than 4 or 5 years. That's their average lifespan for a wolf. One of the things that wolves never find on a wolf's teeth is plaque, right? They don't ever find it. But here's one of the things I want to talk to you about. So we talked about diet and making sure that we remove starches from our diet, from your pet's diet. But sometimes people think, okay, and then let them chew on bones. But here's what they do find with wolves. So if a wolf lives to be 5 years old and nothing else takes his life, when they die, they most often die because the teeth are broken and cracked and they get problems from chewing on those bones. And so I'm not a big fan of having our pets chew on bones, but I am going to show you some stuff a little bit later in this video that I think your pets should chew on that are a lot safer. But before we do that, I know you're all dying to know what it's like to brush a dog's teeth, including me, because Riley's had his teeth brushed many times here, but I haven't been the one to do it. So I'm a little nervous to be doing this video to see, well, it might be good if he's crazy, but I don't know how he's gonna be because he's not one that I've brushed his teeth in all these years. I might have, and I might have forgotten, but I certainly don't remember how he's gonna be. So I'm going to attempt to brush his teeth. Before I do, I want you to know that it's best for home teeth brushing to have 2 people. Unless you've started your dog off as a puppy getting their teeth brushed and they sit still for you. I've showed you in some other videos, but a good way to hold your dog, if you're right-handed, you're going to take your right hand up against here so your elbow holds his body snug and tight to you. Left hand comes up and around, and then you hold their base of their skull, not their neck. You don't want to choke them. So the base of their skull so you can move without hurting them. I put one hand under here so I can scratch them, hold the paw because sometimes they'll paw at the other person, and then you would have your family member, friend, neighbor, anybody you can rope into it to come up to him and put the toothbrush in his mouth once you have him secure so he can't hurt himself. So that's one way to hold a pet so that you can do teeth brushing. But what if you're by yourself? Well, if you're by yourself and you aren't real secure in it, I actually wouldn't recommend you doing it unless you've started your dog off as a puppy. But if you're by yourself and your dog's struggling and fighting and you don't really know that much about dogs, it's probably not a good plan. You can hurt a dog, especially if you have a big dog who might bite you. You want to take those precautions, okay? So, I am going to show you guys how I make my own toothpaste, but before I show you all of that, we'll get to that in a second. I'm just going to dip into this, and then I'm going to show you this lovely little recipe of mine. It's, of course, all organic and special and great. And so what I'm going to do, because I'm by myself, and we're going to see how he does, I'm going to hold his little chin here, and I'm going to open up his mouth on one side, and I'm going to get in there with my organic coconut oil and toothpaste. See how he's pulling from me? So, Riley, are you not a good boy? You've been getting this done for a long time. You really want to make sure that you're getting all sides, the back, the front, and you really want to make that. It needs to touch it. You can't just get the toothpaste in there. This isn't about good smelling breath, although that's the bonus, right? This is about getting some kind of abrasion on top of your dog's teeth. So I'm not going to put Riley through this. I would normally have one of my assistants come over and hold him for me because I don't like the way he's pulling. I don't want him to hurt his back. Shih Tzus you need to be particularly careful with, not just Shih Tzus, but since I've got a Shih Tzu here, we'll talk about Shih Tzus, but Shih Tzus, Pugs, any of your bug-eyed kind of dogs, one thing you never, ever, ever want to do, no matter whether you're brushing their teeth or doing anything, is you don't want to hold and pull their head back. This is a whole nother video that we can do later, but you can actually, their eyeballs can actually pop out of their head. So, never do that. Do not hold a dog by the top of their head and pull them back and then brush their teeth because they're going to pull, and the more they pull, you can end up in some serious damage. So I'm not going to do that because I don't have my assistant here today. So, but you get the idea. Get that toothbrush in there. Another thing you can do is you can take a little rag, which I don't have right now, but you can just take a little rag. We want to make some kind of contact on these teeth. So you could do it with your finger where you're rubbing the coconut oil all around. Coconut oil is really good because it helps to kill bacteria. So that's the other way that you can do it, but you want to have some kind of abrasive thing there. So, okay. So now let's talk about when you're in that situation where the teeth aren't clean and there's actually plaque buildup. So plaque is actually the first thing. Plaque is actually the lighter part of what goes on the teeth. It's tartar that we really get scared of. And tartar, a toothbrush isn't getting tartar off. Tartar needs to be scaled off, and there's two ways you can do that. You can have your veterinarian do anesthesia dental cleaning, where they put your dog under anesthesia, and then of course they go in and they use scalers and they pull and pick all that gross stuff off the dog's teeth. And then there's also non-anesthesia teeth cleaning. So I do have some on the podcast. You can listen to an entire video we have on the podcast with Andy Jacusko, who is a dental hygienist, and we came in and we talked about the pros and cons. But for the purpose of this video, I will just let you know these are the options that you have. If you watch that podcast, you'll hear about the pros and the cons of both. But the options you would have are obviously preventative. First and foremost is diet. Next is going to be teeth brushing. How often should you brush your dog's teeth? As often as possible. And I mean that wholeheartedly, because it takes 24 hours for the plaque to build up. That's the white stuff that you can just take your finger and scratch that off. That takes about 24 hours. So if you can brush your dog's teeth every day, wow, are you amazing. I don't even brush my dog's teeth every day. But every as often as you possibly can is what I want you to try to do. And then if you find yourself in a situation where there is some tartar buildup, that's the thicker stuff, and you want to do, your other options would be to have your veterinarian do anesthesia, or in some cases your veterinarian might offer non-anesthesia. One thing I want to say about non-anesthesia, in case you never get a chance to go to my podcast, but I know you will because you're so fabulous. But if you never get to that, I want you to know how important it is. Please, please, please don't ever let someone do a non-anesthesia dental cleaning without a veterinarian present. And the reason why that's important is because, like I told you, there's a connection between the mouth and the bacteria and the kidneys and the heart. If somebody goes in and doesn't know that this dog has a heart problem, haven't even listened to the heart, or there's not a veterinarian present to prescribe an antibiotic that might be necessary if there's infection in the mouth, you could potentially do more harm than good. So if you do find yourself wanting to do non-anesthesia, there's lots of places that offer it that aren't at a vet hospital. Here at the spa we offer it, but I have a veterinarian that comes in, and her only job is to sit there and be with the hygienist, and she charts everything and she keeps track of everything, and she can prescribe antibiotics. That's super important. Okay, so now that we know what our options are, let's talk a little bit about, isn't he so cute? Can't even help it. So let's talk a little bit about toothpaste, right? There's all sorts of available things out there. I have in the past used human toothpaste. Do I think it's the most horrible thing on the planet and your dog will die if it happens? No. Some people will say yes, if you can't use that. I used it for years. I don't anymore because I found something better. So, but if you had it, I personally think it would be better using your toothpaste at home than doing nothing. So, but keep in mind, you don't want big slabs of it, because sometimes it can cause a little upset stomach. Dogs aren't used to that kind of stuff. So if you've never done it before, you want to just use a teeny tiny bit. It's really more about the brushing back and forth than it is anything. So, but again, I'm going to show you what I use. So, this is my little concoction. And it is a combination of, you know what, I'm going to put Riley right here. So you can get some organic coconut oil, and you can see like this one's thick, so it's not in an oil type situation, it's a thicker one. Oh, that's gross. This is a hairy place. Our hair has hair, so it's hard to get away from. So, or fur, our hair has fur, maybe is what I meant to say. But you can take something like this, a coconut oil. I like the ozone-aided coconut oil because it's got a little bit of oxygen in it, which also can help. Oreo! She knows I'm doing a video, so she's gonna talk to me, I guess. So you get some coconut oil. Get the thick kind. If you can find the ozonated, it's a little bit more, a lot more expensive, but this will do just fine. So you're just gonna take a big clump of it, and you're gonna stick it in whatever bowl you want to use. And then you're going to want to get some peppermint. So very little of the peppermint. You need like 1 drop. You don't want to, dogs are very sensitive to scents and smell. And if you've ever put peppermint in your mouth, it can be a little jarring. So I do very little. This is not in any way what's cleaning your dog's mouth. This is more about smell. It's more about you having a nice fresh mouth, more than anything. So I mix my coconut oil with a tiny bit of baking soda, very little, like I'll put a teaspoon into that big glob of coconut oil, and then I mix it all together. And there you go. Then voila, you have your own organic toothpaste. Okay, next we're going to talk about this little baby. So this is an interesting, most of you probably have heard of a Sonicare. They don't market these to dogs, so I don't know, what they would say about me doing this. But here's the thing, I love these things and I think they're amazing to use as a toothbrush for your dog. They make them, if you have a little tiny dog, they make them for children, so you can get the children's size one. When you first start out with this, which I highly recommend you using, you want to put it in their mouth without being on, probably for the first 5 or 6 times that you do it. Get them used to having a toothbrush in their mouth. And then once they've become accustomed to it, then you slowly you're going to want to turn it on, leave it on so they can hear the sounds, they can hear everything that's going on, and just work their way up to it. But this is going to be a best friend for you. Okay? Next. So we always talk about diet because I can't stand not to do preventative. So big dogs, little dogs, and how this works. In fact, I'll give Riley one right now because he's probably super excited about it. So this is something that's really interesting. So my poor baby. You want a chicken foot? You want a chicken foot? I knew you'd want it. Okay, that'll keep you busy for a while. Okay, so chicken feet and pig's feet, if you have a big dog, are something that I am a big fan of. I give my dogs, my big dog gets 1 of these a week, my little dog gets 2 of these a week. So Nevada gets 1 of these and 1 of these in 1 week. Ansel gets 2 of these in 1 week. Big dog, little dog. So why these are so important? I'm not necessarily plugging answers, but what I am doing is plugging the chicken feet and the pig's feet that are fermented. Why is that important? Fermentation grows bacteria, good bacteria. What's in your dog's mouth? Bad bacteria and good bacteria. We want to encourage good bacteria and discourage bad bacteria. Good bacteria push bad bacteria out of the system. So that's what we want to do, is we want to create that. Sometimes people say to me, oh, dogs don't eat fermented stuff in the wild, but they do. They actually do. Wolves, for example, will hunt and kill and leave a kill for 2 weeks and let it ferment and then come back and eat it. And they replenish their own gut bacteria that way. They replenish their mouths that way. They're very healthy. So I'm not a fan of chewing on bones, as I told you before, because it can break your dog's teeth and then you can end up with a whole nother problem. But chicken feet and pig's feet are very soft. Chicken wings, if you can find those that are fermented, that would be another really awesome choice to do in order to keep your dog's teeth clean. I assure you, if you, and I know this for sure, if you absolutely follow these instructions, you have probably about a 90% chance of not needing to have your pet go under anesthesia, have his teeth cleaned, or have him lose all of his teeth. But here's the thing. Why didn't I say 100%? I didn't say 100% because they're genetics. Genetics can and do play a role in our dog's dental and how things work in their body. So it's not 100% guaranteed, but I don't think anything in life really is. But what is 100% guaranteed is that if you put the time in and you put the effort in, there's a really good chance you're going to have a healthier dog. But what you're really going to be able to do is bond with your dog. So dental cleaning doesn't have to be scary. It can be something that your pets love, and they'll get to get extra little time with you. So why not, right? Okay, everybody. Hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, of course, you can always contact me at the spa. I'm always willing to take some phone calls. I do consultations, so if you want to have a consultation to learn anything about your pets, I'm always available for that as well. So hope this was helpful. Take care, everybody. Bye.